Hi, Kim.
Hey Heather, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Are you excited to go to Italy?
Yes, I am super excited. Ooh,
I'm so
where's
excited for you.
you?
Say that
You
again.
asking where Tina is. Are you outside?
Oh,
I am outside. It's such a nice day, I couldn't resist.
That's awesome. I
so
love
cool.
it.
I wish I were somewhere more exciting than home, but I'm just at home.
Hey, if you can't find it at home, where can you find it? So, right? It's a good it's a good lesson in practice for us to be at home. Hi, Marleya.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? Um, Making sure you guys can see my mat. Um, awesome. Well, thanks for coming, you guys. I'm teaching today because because I'm leaving for Italy on Thursday. So we're just swapping days this week. So Katie will teach on Thursday. And then she'll actually teach both classes the following week. And then I'll be back the next Thursday. So
That's awesome.
yeah. Um, I believe today we've got our deep power practice. So, hey Barb,
How are you?
good. How are you doing?
I'm looking forward to some relaxation.
Okay,
Forward to yoga today.
fantastic. Well, I got you. So
Thanks.
let's do it. Um, I was just mentioning that it's deep power today, so we'll be, slowing it down a little bit, doing just a more intentional, mindful movement. Not that we don't do that anyway, but slowing it down just a touch.
Mhm.
Um, do you have any requests before we get going here? Any requests for poses or areas of the body? No?
Not me.
You'll take whatever I give you. I love it.
I will. I will today. I'm just happy to be here.
Perfect. Great. Um, all right, so just take a moment and make sure you're muted. Your microphones are muted for the recording. I'm gonna pin this. All right. Well, hello everybody. Thank you for joining me for our deep power practice today. So as I mentioned just a moment ago, in case you missed that part, our practice today will be just a little bit slower, a little more intentional movement, really connecting to our center and breathing and moving in a more deliberate and mindful way. So maybe a counter practice to like a typical vinyasa flow. And I think it's nice to have both, right? There are times that it's helpful and beneficial to our body to just have a moving meditation, a really active and flowing practice. And today the invitation will be a little bit different. It will be the invitation to stay and maybe pause in each pose a little longer, hang out in the pose a little bit longer. And I think for me, this kind of practice invites some patience and A willingness to hang out in our discomfort a little bit, which is good practice for us too. But within reason, right? Take breaks as you need to. And yeah, this is after all your practice. So let's go ahead and find a comfortable seat. I'm sitting up onto a block. You're welcome to sit up onto a bolster or whatever you got, or just on the ground. It's fine too. And we'll close our eyes and start to notice here the presence of your breath. Sitting up maybe a little bit taller with each in-breath, rolling your shoulders back and feeling into the stability, the ground beneath you. And pausing here at the beginning of our practice with just a few moments of stillness. If it's a helpful, beneficial part of your practice, you can begin your Ujjayi pranayama. That gentle engagement using the muscles at the back of your throat. You might find the breath slowing down a little bit here as we start to breathe in this way. Good. And then on your next in-breath, roll your shoulders back and open up a little bit through your heart, through your chest. You're coming into just a gentle back bend. And then on exhale, tuck your tailbone and round through your spine, chin toward your chest. Inhale, lift up again and open. And then exhale, tuck your tailbone and round through your spine. Good. Take a couple more rounds here of this seated cat-cow movement. Again, moving slowly, intentionally with each breath. Good. And then let's go ahead and if you're sitting up onto a block, let's start with that block side. And we're going to bring the soles of the feet right together into Baddha Konasana. The knees can open out wide. Take an in breath and lengthen up through the spine, sitting up straight and tall. And then on exhale, start to come into a fold. And we're going to be here for several breaths. And so not maxing out right away, but feeling the steady presence and the rhythm of each breath. Moving your breath down into your hips, into your pelvis. Noticing areas of tightness or sensation. Breathing into those areas. And again, in our practice today, really inviting that quality of patience and slow movement. Going deeper than maybe we're used to in these poses. So let's take 3 more deep breaths here in this Baddha Konasana. Feel free to send a sigh out your mouth and let it release. And then come all the way back up. Upright position, bring your hands to the outsides of your knees and guide your knees together. And then we're going to come forward to the hands and knees. And from here, take some rounds of cat-cow movement. Okay, so similar to what we were doing from our seated position, but this time from this hands and knees position, moving slowly and intentionally, feeling into each breath. No rush to get anywhere. You just be right here, connected to your breath, connected to your movement. Good. And then we'll come back to our neutral spine, to our center. Come down to your elbows and your forearms, and we're gonna move into a dolphin pose. I know this is like right out of the gate, but you guys can do it. So elbows about shoulder width apart. You're welcome to keep your forearms parallel, like railroad tracks, or maybe you clasp your hands and make a little bit of a tripod with your arms. Either way, your head is relaxed, your head is not touching the ground. Pick up your knees and pull the belly in and up, maybe tiptoe forward just a little bit toward your face. Keep the knees slightly bent and lengthen through your spine. And so we're going to come into a place in your dolphin, if possible, for you to hang out for several breaths. Okay, so again, this is part of our practice. Set up a container and a alignment that feels supported. There's a little bit of engagement for sure in this pose, but also balancing that with your ease, with your softness. And even as the pose becomes a little bit more challenging, can you dig a little deeper, feel your breath, focus on your in breath and your out breath. Certainly you can take breaks as you need to, but let's hang out in our dolphin for about 5 more breaths. So if you've taken a rest, that's totally fine. See if you can come back into it for the last few breaths. Breathe a little bit deeper, exhaling out completely. Good, you guys, on your last exhale here, send that sigh out your mouth and let it go. And then come down to your knees and take a child's pose or an embryo pose. So with embryo pose, the arms come back along the sides. Just breathe here. Giving your arms a bit of a rest. And then let's come back up to the hands and the knees, everybody. Taking the knees a tiny bit wider than the hips. And extending the right arm all the way out and up, open through the chest. This should feel pretty good after our dolphin. And then thread the needle for a few breaths. So threading that right arm underneath the left. Feeling into the shoulder and the upper back. For a little extra emphasis here, you might kick your left foot out to the left. Push with your toes. Use that as a leverage point to go a little bit deeper into this stretch. A couple more rounds of breath here. And then let's bring it back, bring your knee back, it's extended. Take your right arm all the way out and up, open. And then bring that right hand back to the floor. And we'll take the other side. So the left arm will stretch out to the left and reach up, open through your chest. And then thread the needle, that left arm underneath your right arm. Coming down to the shoulder. And again, you have that same option. You can kick your right toes out to the right and push. A little extra leverage here, emphasis. Good. Take a couple more breaths here. And then let's unwind out of that. Take your left arm out from underneath you, reach it all the way up, and bring your hand back to the floor. Good job, you guys. All right, downward facing dog. So push through your palms and let your hips lift up. Remember, we are really taking our time. Intentional placement of the hands and the feet. Rooted down, really feel into the four corners of this pose. Both hands and both feet, these four solid points of contact on your mat. So push equally and evenly into these four places, lifting at your core, at your belly, navel toward your spine. Just letting your neck relax, letting your jaw release. Feel free to put a little bend in your knees here. 3 to 5 more deep breaths here in your downward dog. Enough engagement and stability to support this pose, but also notice areas where you might soften, where you might release, where you might let go of tension. Good. And then bend your knees a little bit. Let's walk forward toward the hands. You're going to come into a standing forward fold. Extend your spine on your in-breath, lengthen out. Exhale, fold. Let's hang out here in ragdoll pose, or if you want to go a little bit deeper in this pose, you might try this gorilla stance where you stand on your hands, actually sliding your hands, your palms underneath your feet. And so your toes are up towards your wrist joint. Your knees can be quite bent. Let your head go, let your neck relax. So whatever version of this forward fold, just hang out for several breaths. Just getting curious today. What is here to be felt in each pose? What is here to be experienced or to be known? Good, and then release the hands from underneath your feet, if you're working with that. And then come all the way up to standing. So ground your feet and take the arms out wide and stretch all the way up alongside your ears. And exhale, hands together at the heart. Slow movement with your breath. So reach your arms out wide and stretch all the way up alongside your ears. Exhale into your forward fold. So lengthen through your spine and fold it all the way in. Halfway lift as you inhale. Exhale, fold. And then all the way back up to standing. So feet root down, stretch the arms up, open. Exhale, hands together at your heart. Following that full range of motion, again like that, arms reach out wide and stretch all the way up as high as you're able. Maybe lift your gaze up. Exhale into your forward fold, so that lengthen swan dive forward, fold in. Inhale to your halfway lift, that Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. And then all the way back up to standing. Push the ground away with your feet. Stretch up, reach up tall. And then hands come back together at your heart. Good. Take your arms back up on your in-breath. Lengthen. And this time we're going to sit in our chair pose. So sit into that imaginary chair. I like to put the weight back a little bit toward my heels and even lift and spread my toes just a little bit. But you can do whatever you'd like here for a few breaths. If you want to goal post your arms or even interlace your fingers behind your back. Let's stay here for 3 more breaths. Squeeze through those inner thighs. Sit just a little bit deeper, like you're literally about to sit down into that imaginary chair. Exhale into your forward fold. Slow and steady movement. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. Go ahead and take your hands to the ground this time. Feel the ground and then step your way to plank or upper push-up. Pull toward that center line. Imagine you had a block in between your thighs or in between your calves, squeezing in toward that mid-line. Take another breath here in your upper push-up or plank pose. And then rock your whole body forward just a little bit. Lower slowly down, Chaturanga Dandasana, all the way to your belly. Point your toes and then slide your elbows and your forearms forward for Sphinx pose. Shoulders draw down. Pull your rib cage and your chest forward, maybe a little telescoping or movement here in your Sphinx pose. Exhale, release out of that. Slide your hands back next to your mid-ribs with your elbows pointing up. Come back up through plank or hands and knees, either one. And then all the way back into your downward facing dog. Good. With awareness, Extend your right leg back behind you, reach it up to that three-legged dog. Lengthen through your leg, reach through your toes. Maybe as you reach your right leg up, your left heel moves a little bit closer to the ground. And you might walk your hands back just a couple of inches here. Keep your right hand rooted. Walk your left hand back to about the middle of your mat, coming into a little tripod. Now, the left hand can stay where it is. You can come up onto the fingertips, or maybe you experiment with this teeter dog, this balance, taking the left hand away from the ground, bringing it back along your side or even behind your back. Couple more rounds of breath here. Good, and then release, take that left hand to the ground, hug your right knee in toward your chest, slow motion, step it forward, come down to your back knee. Center that right knee over your ankle and reach your arms up alongside your ears. Again, squaring off your hips, inner thighs engage, reach up tall. Bend your elbows and open up your chest a little bit more here. Let's try to squeeze the lowest tips of the shoulder blades toward one another as you lean back and open up through your heart. Stretch your arms back up as you inhale, and then tuck your back toes under if they're not already. Engage your legs and pick up your back knees. You're coming into a high lunge or a crescent lunge. It's a little bit different requirement here. Strengthen your legs and your core, reaching up tall. Couple more rounds of breath. Maybe start to reach slightly up and back into a little more of a heart opener. Last breath here. Exhale, bring your hands all the way to the ground. If you happen to have a block, place your block underneath your left hand, underneath your shoulder, and reach your right arm up into a twist. Twisting lunge. Breathe here. With every in breath, reach a little bit higher. Every out breath, maybe drawing a little bit deeper into your twist, leaning it back. Couple more breaths here. Good. Exhale, bring your right hand back to the ground. And we'll go ahead and walk the hands, crawl the hands over to the left. So you're in a wide straddle. Feet parallel. Take an in breath. Lengthen. Exhale. Hold. Take several breaths in this wide straddle. Forward fold. Good, everybody, take one more breath here. Stretch it forward to your flat back. You're gonna stay here for an extra breath. Really plug your feet into the ground, use your core, and take your arms out wide like wings. This is a pretty challenging pose here, but arms out wide like wings, strong in your back. And then bring your hands to your hips and come all the way up to standing. Woo! Good job. Turn your right toes forward. We're gonna do one more standing pose here, triangle pose. So re-extend your arms out wide. Really intentionally reach forward, lengthen, and then bring that right hand down to your block or to your shin or ankle, and extend your left arm up. And then I just invite you to explore this pose, whatever feels good to you. Maybe you take that top arm behind your back for a few breaths, or maybe you just relax your head down or look down, or fine tune this with each breath in your body. Every pose is different and unique to each individual. So finding your own self-expression here. Take one more full breath. Stretch your left arm forward alongside your ear so your fingertips reach toward the front of the room. And then turn both hands down to the ground. We're gonna unweight the right leg and stretch it back behind, reach it all the way up. Bend your leg and open through the hip this time. So peel that right hip back and move your right heel toward your left glute. Take an extra breath here, open it up. And then your next exhale, right knee comes over to touch your left elbow. And I want you to hold this for a couple of breaths. Maybe pull your knee up a little bit higher on your arm. Good, you can do it. You guys know this is hard. Last breath, and then bring your leg into pigeon pose. Oh my gosh, I couldn't even talk through that. Holy cow. All right, so pigeon on your right, or if you prefer figure 4 or double pigeon, whatever you want to here is fine. If you're in regular pigeon, go ahead and fold it in. Walk your hands and your forearms forward and fold. Take about 3 more breaths here. Good, you guys maybe send that sigh out your mouth and let it release. Make your way back upright. Bring your hands to the floor. Now, we're gonna bring this right leg out, the one that was in pigeon, come to hands and knees. And then extend your right leg straight back. So the one that was just in pigeon goes straight back. The hips and the shoulders stay parallel and even. And then connect to your core here, take your left arm forward for this spinal balance or bird dog pose. Keep everything reined in tight, strong and engaged and lifted through your core, through your center. Take another full breath, reach from front to back, and then release your left hand to the ground. Cross your right toes over to the left side of your mat for a little side stretch. Turn to your left, look past your left shoulder at your right toes. Maybe bend your elbows or pull your hips some to your right. Couple more breaths. Good, and then bring it back through center, swing your leg back. Back to hands and knees. And take a breath here, everybody. And then to your downward facing dog. And again, see if you can just invite this quality of patience and slow, intentional movement. So as you feel ready, you will extend the left leg back. Reach and lengthen it all the way up into the air. The right heel might move a little bit closer to the ground. You can even walk your hands back some to make that a little more accessible. Now, left hand stays where it is. Let's walk the right hand back to about the middle of your mat. You can keep it there, maybe coming up onto the fingertips or the pads of your fingers. Or you could try this teeter dog where we take the right hand away and hug the arm alongside the body, or maybe take that right arm behind your back. And just explore this for a couple breaths. Good. Bring your right hand back to your mat. Hug your left knee in toward your chest. Step it through. No momentum, just with your core, come down to your back knee. Left knee over your ankle. And then extend and lengthen up through your arms in this low lunge. So stretch up, reach up, squeeze through your inner thighs, draw toward that center. Bend both elbows, pull the shoulder blades toward one another. Deepen into your lunge a little bit, open through your chest. Give this a couple more breaths. And then we'll stretch the arms back up. Reach the fingertips toward the sky. Now, curl your back toes under if they're not already. And we're going to lift that back knee off of the mat. So we're coming into a crescent lunge or a high lunge. We'll work this for a couple breaths. Maybe deepen into your lunge, reaching up tall, and coming into a little bit more of a back bend. A couple more breaths. Stability and ease. Exhale, release those hands down. Now take a hold of your block if you've got one underneath the right hand for a little bit of height and support. Sweep your left arm up for your twist. Now you don't necessarily need to use a block here. You might also choose to bring your back knee down. So those are some options you can explore. On the in-breath, reach a little bit higher. On your exhale or your out-breath, twist a little bit more. So working this pose really intentionally with each breath. Good, last one here, bring it out. Exhale your left hand back to the floor and put your block to the side, crawl your hands over to your right side. So feet are once again parallel, lengthening your spine. And then exhale, holding it in. So if you want to, you can stick with our same pose here. We just work the crown of the head closer to the ground. If you would prefer to interlace your fingers behind your back and pull your hands away from your low back, you can work with that. Or any other variation here for a few breaths. Good. Take another full breath here wherever you are. If your fingers are interlaced behind your back, bring your hands back to your lower back. Release your clasp hands to the floor. Stretch it forward to your halfway lift. Connect to your core here. Take your arms out wide like wings. Stay here for a breath. Engage, and then inhale all the way back up to standing. Reach the arms up. And then we're going to take the arms out wide. Take your left toes forward for triangle pose. So again, this intentional movement into this pose. Stand tall, left toes forward. Reach your left fingertips and your rib cage forward. Maintain that length as you tilt the body over for Trikonasana, triangle. You can use your block here or place your left hand on your shin or your ankle. Right arm and right fingertips reaching toward the sky. Slow and steady breath here. And we're going to send the right arm forward alongside your ear. Really stretch and lengthen the right arm and ribs and side body. And then bring both hands down to the floor. And we're going to unweight the left leg. Send the left leg back behind you, three-legged downward dog. Bend the left leg, open through the hips. So peel it back. Stay here for a couple of breaths. The left heel toward the right glute. The left knee opening out to the side. And then we're going to take this left knee to the right elbow. So cross it over, left knee to the right elbow. And you're going to stay here for an extra breath or two. Pull your knee up a little higher on your arm. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And then bring your leg into pigeon pose. So any version of pigeon, as I mentioned on the other side, maybe you take figure 4 or double pigeon. If you're in this regular pigeon, then crawl the hands forward and start holding in. And slow it down through each breath. Take about 3 more deep breaths here. Maybe sending that sigh out your mouth and letting it cleanse, letting it release. And come back upright. And as you come back up, you'll make your way back to your hands and your knees. So bring this left leg back. Set yourself up for your hands and your knees, neutral spine. And then extend your left leg straight back. Okay, the one that was just in pigeon goes straight back from your hip. Connect to your core, even out your hips and your shoulders. And then extend your right arm forward alongside your ear, like you're reaching forward to shake someone's hand, palm facing in. Everything pulls toward that midline and then reach it apart. Couple more rounds of breath here, lengthening from front to back. And then exhale, bring your right hand back to your mat. And then cross your left toes over the right side of your mat. And then turn and face and try to look at your left toes. pull your hips a little bit to your left. Maybe bend into your elbows and move into it. Good, you guys, one more full breath here. And then swing it on back to center. Good, and then make your way onto your backs. So you guys are gonna set up for a bridge pose. Now, if you want to work with a supported bridge with a block, that is fine by me, or any other prop of your choice. Okay, you can do the bolster. Or you can do this without a block. So bring the soles of your feet to the ground about the width of your hips. Bend your elbows. Before you lift your hips up, lift your chest up. We've been doing bridge pose this way for a long time, so it's probably familiar to you. Lifting from the back of your heart. Push into the ground with your feet and your elbows. Lift your hips up into this bridge. Now, at this point, you can keep your arms as they are. You could drop your arms down along your sides so they're a little more passive. Or maybe you interlace your fingers underneath you and wrap your shoulder blades a little closer in. Okay. And of course, if you want to grab your block for support, you could place a block under there. So whatever version you want. Now, shift. Well, let me give you some options. You can keep it just as is and breathe and come out of the pose whenever you're ready. You want a little extra challenge today, guys. Shift your left foot a couple of inches toward the center of your mat and extend your right leg straight up into the air. So we're coming into this kind of extended leg bridge pose. Don't let your hips drop. Keep your heart lifted. Take another breath. Reach your right toes. Then place your right foot to the floor and shift your right foot a little bit toward your center. Pick up your left leg and stretch your left leg up into the air. Reach through your toes. Push with your elbows. Lift through your heart. Take a couple more breaths here. Reach, reach, reach. And then bring your left foot back to the ground. Reset. One more breath in your bridge. And then if you're using a block, remove it. Lower your spine all the way back down. And hug both knees in toward your chest. Side to side. Releasing here your lower back. With a happy baby pose would feel really good to you here. Grab a hold of your feet for a few breaths and pull your knees out wide. And take another full breath here. And let's let go of the feet, hug the knees back in. And let both knees drop over to your right side. So you're in a spinal twist. If you'd like to shift your hips, your pelvis a little bit more toward your center to realign your spine, you can make those little adjustments as you need. Good. One more breath here in your twist. Bring your knees back through center and readjust a little bit your hips, and let's go over to the other side. So take your knees to your left, stretch your right arm out to the right. And then everybody take another full cleansing breath here on this side in your twist. Bring the knees back up. And we'll stretch the legs out to the floor. Reach your arms up and back alongside your ears. And then take your arms down along your sides. And if there's anything else that you need before Shavasana, be my guest to finish up with any last little bit of movement. And then set up for your final relaxation, corpse pose, Shavasana. Already, everybody start to expand and broaden your breath. Appreciating practice today, the time that you carved out. Really pay attention to move and to breathe in an intentional way. Start to make your way over to your side into a fetal position. And then all the way back up to your seat. Your next in-breath, reach the arms up alongside your ears. And then hands come together in front of your heart. Good practice, everybody. We'll finish with one round of Om. Take a full breath in. Om. Namaste.
Thank
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Kim.
You bet. Thanks for being here, everybody. I'll see you in a couple weeks, okay?
Summer
great
trip.
Have fun in Italy. Jealous.
You.
Thank you. I know. I'm excited about it. I'm not gonna lie. But
I think you should be.
I'll miss you. I'll see you soon.
All right. Travel.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.